Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Screen Orb. There's a reason that reality television is popular, and it's hardly due to the reality of the experiences that we see unfolding on the screen. Often the most successful series, shows like Survivor, The Bachelorette, or Keeping Up with the Kardashians, revolve around bizarre and unique behavior coupled with extraordinary events. That's why A&E's hit series Storage Wars, along with its numerous spin-offs, has remained so incredibly popular over the years. The show revolves around the unknown, the bizarre, and the surprising, all of which lay safely enclosed within the abandoned lockers unveiled by the star team of bargain hunters and treasure seekers. And there have been a lot of said lockers relentlessly auctioned off throughout the course of the show's nearly decade-long run. But despite the plethora of oddball items, there are certain discoveries that were bound to rise to the surface as exceptionally noteworthy. Here are our candidates for 6 times Storage Wars went too far. But before we start, I would want you all to hit that subscribe button to enter our monthly shoutout giveaway. Just comment saying I subscribed and we'll enter you into the giveaway. So without any further ado, let's begin. Number 1. A scene in a head. Barry Weiss, who is known as the Collector, may not be the most successful character on the show, but what he lacks in monetary success, he certainly makes up for with his entertaining commentary, his string of hilariously questionable bidding decisions, and his overall quirky interests. This was on full display when Weiss arrived late to an auction and quickly snapped up what appeared to be a worthless locker for an inflated $1,525. Everyone else rolled their eyes and moved on to the next unit, but Weiss's seemingly hard-brained mistake actually turned out to be quite on purpose. The Collector had spotted an interesting statue in the back, and upon entering the unit his suspicions were quickly confirmed. The wooden statue had real dentures and glass eyes, giving it an eerie look right from the start, but the piece only got stranger from there. The head had been hollowed out with a window in the back of its skull, through which could be seen an entire secondary view of figures and scenery taking place within the statue's brain. The $6,000 appraisal that Weiss received wasn't enough to tempt his offbeat tastes, and the Collector chose to keep it for his own private collection rather than sell. Number 2. Presley Papers. Elvis Presley was the king of rock and roll, and there's no doubt that anything authentically relating to his life and death is going to carry some inherent value. But it was Storage Wars resident bad boy David Hester that walked away with the Presley motherlode all the way back in the first season. In a unique combination of rarity and quantity, Hester managed to score a locker filled with thousands of newspapers featuring Elvis on the front page. While a newspaper sporting the king is a cool thing to have, it was a publication date that rarely mattered here. The vast collection of periodicals were all dated from the same sad day, August 16th, 1977, the day Elvis died. With such a large quantity of highly valued newspapers, Hester knew he had a fortune on his hands, as proved to be the case when the vault of rock and roll treasures was valued at a whopping $90,000. Dollar figures aside though, the fact that anyone would go out of their way to gather up that many collectible papers into one place is a bit surprising. Add on to that twist that ultimately all of that hoarding was for naught, as the original owners lost the locker anyways, and the whole story becomes nearly as tragic as that of August 16th, 1977. Number 3. Dozens of engines. Sometimes a genuine surprise doesn't come from a thing itself as much as the sheer quantity of it. This was the case when our beloved Mr. Barry Weiss bought a 10x20 locker that was filled to the brim with motorcycle engines. Not complete motorcycles, not even a jumble of bike parts. We're talking a whopping 30 engines with nary a complete bike in the lot. Fortunately, the bizarre mass of bike pieces had fallen into the right hands, as Weiss is well known for his obsession with collectible automobiles. In an interview with Share TV after the fact, the occasionally savvy collector declared it his biggest profit on the show, claiming that he made $10,000 off the haul, although he could have gotten more if he hadn't sold it in bulk to a single buyer. While finding a motorcycle engine may not be a particularly unusual occurrence in a storage unit, this time it was the volume factor that made the find as big surprise as any. Number 4. A bomb. In one episode, Jared Schultz got a panicked call from a guy he had working on a new locker he had purchased. The unsuspecting fellow thought he had stumbled upon a homemade bomb shortly after starting to unpack the unit. The odd ramshackle package was heavy, had electronics taped to it, and even seemed to have a trigger. By the time Jared got there to calm his co-workers' ruffled feathers, the police were already on the scene and the area had been cleared. Shortly after this, everyone held their breath as Bomb Squad sent a robot in to investigate the mysterious package. To the relief of all involved, it turned out that the shabby parcel was merely a DIY battery charger. Feeling much relieved, Jared returned to the locker, obviously stoked at how exciting the whole experience had been. Unfortunately for him though, the rest of the locker turned out to be as much of a dud as the ersatz explosives. Number 5. A Voodoo Stash. The Storage Wars crew has seen a lot, but they weren't prepared to encounter the occult. At least, that seems to be the case, judging from Brandy Passant's face after she bought a locker midway through season 5 that contained an assortment of voodoo paraphernalia that, needless to say, was creepy as heck. The $900 locker was rather small and unassuming at first glance, and certainly wasn't on track to add up to much of a prize, as Brandy and her assistant rifled their way through the contents, though they pulled out a damaged red plastic tote filled with an assortment of items that looked harmless on the surface. Digging their way down through the initial layers of worthless crap, they were surprised to find a small skull and antlers that immediately spooked them out. The tension was temporarily diffused when Brandy's partner Jared made a late slapstick entrance to the scene in order to help her unpack the locker. However, the supernatural concerns picked up again shortly after, and continued to mount from there as the voodoo collection was further unveiled. From trinkets and statues to chicken bones and beaks, the witch doctor's stash was about as unsettling as it gets. Number 6. A handmade land yacht. While Weiss may not often show up on the list of Storage Wars' biggest payouts, his lack of ability to sniff out a deal seems to be more than compensated for his uncanny ability to find the unusual. Sure enough, he came through with flying colours once again, just a couple of episodes after the engraved hard hat scenario. Tipped off to the presence of an odd-wheeled object located in a certain locker, Weiss tenaciously entered a ferocious bidding war in which he even tried to bid himself up at one point. Needless to say, he won the locker for $825 and soon after dug in to unearth his pride. The object in question? A land yacht. However, after a good deal of hunting, he was able to find the mast for the clever contraption, so Barry headed off to get the vehicle evaluated without its primary mode of propulsive power. To his chagrin, the lack of mast proved to be a moot point, as he was given the sad news that the unit had been cobbled together using old bike parts and wasn't worth more than a couple $100. This, guys, brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button if you did, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, guys, please do check out the 2 videos you're seeing on screen right now. With that said, I'll see you in the next video.